So this is really special. This is the PO2, also known as the U2. If you get a chance to read about the Night Witches, these were all female Soviet pilots, and what they would do is cut the engines, fly over German areas that they needed to hit, and basically glide themselves, drop the bombs, and then turn on the engine and fly as fast as out of there as possible. But yeah, this is a really special aircraft, and quite popular with the crews. I would probably say on par with the what was the British Swordfish, the ferry Swordfish, I think, if I recall correctly. You know, kind of, just because something is old and made of fabric doesn't mean that it was not, shall we say, not as effective. This was quite effective in the right hands and capable hands. So very maneuverable, not very fast, but because of the design and the overall layout of the wings and how they are, it was quite a glider too, so worked well. Now this is really interesting. So this is the Lag 3. Again, during the early stages when the I-16s were introduced, they were pretty obsolete. So there was a major push to create an aircraft as fast as possible that was somewhat relative on par with the Bf-109, and that was the Lag 3. The only issue is that it did have a slightly underpowered motor or engine, and later you'll see how it got fixed around and turned around pretty quickly. But with the pilots, it was, you know, again, in good hands. It was quite devastating for the enemy. But since a lot of the pilots were new, it was difficult for them to get used to this small little robust fighter. I personally like the design. I think it's awesome. I think it's unique. It's one of my favorite ones to draw. But as far as flying, I would have to one day get the privilege to do so, and then I could tell you more, I guess, hands-on first point of view from that. Now guys, you remember I was telling you about the Lag 3 and how it was slightly underpowered? Well, you take the exact same airframe and you put an M82 engine, I believe is what it was. I'll double check on that. And you get yourself a Lavishkin LA-5FN. So this is the Lavishkin fighter. One of the finest fighter aces of World War II for the Allies would have been Ivan Koshchev. Well, he flew the LA-5 and the LA-7s Lavishkin fighter with this same engine. And it was, well, I mean, it's probably one of the best fighters of the entire war. I would say online easily with the P-51 Mustang, Supermarine Spitfire, Focke-Wulf FW-190, so on and so forth. Now, I did say M82. Let me double check if I got the engine correct. And I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm looking. I will double check. So if I made a mistake, I will go ahead and correct it in the YouTube portion. So I don't see that there is even a power plant. I didn't catch that. So in any case, but yeah, this is the Lavishkin fighter. It was extremely popular with the crew. And as they created the LA-5, they also made LA-10, LA-5, LA-7, LA-9. And then it just kind of created its own line. But this is one of my favorites for sure. This is really sweet. So here we have the Yak 3, Yak 9 line over here, Yakovlev fighters. Early stages, so they were kind of intermediate fighters when they first were introduced. This was between Lag 3 and kind of Lavishkin. So it was just a good stopgap fighter. And then, of course, once the Yak 9s came in, it no longer became a stopgap. It became a real nightmare for the Germans. So even the Me-109s could hardly keep up with this little fighter. So it's quite unique. You can see how wide the landing gear, you know, is. Really quite famous fighter pilot. She was a female Soviet. There was a movie that came out. Her name was Lila Litviak, or Lily Rose. Well, she flew the Yak 7 version, if I recall, and knocked out at least 15 Germans out of the sky. And even the Germans who were captured after she had shot them down couldn't believe their eyes that they got shot down, not only by some, you know, Soviet ace, but a female nonetheless. So yeah, Lila Litviak, if you get a chance to check her out, this would have been a similar fighter that she would have flown. Yaks are very nice planes. Interesting fact, in the 90s during the perestroika period, Yakovlev almost went out of business. And the way they were able to keep in business was they went back to reproducing World War II aircraft such as this. And so you had a bunch of buyers all over the world, mostly from America, that wanted replicas of these Yak fighters. And so there was probably as many of these flying as there are Mustangs. But very popular, very nice. It's just an incredible little fighter that did its job time. Here's a tail section of a Bf-110 or a Messerschmitt. Got knocked out of the sky, most likely by a Lavishkin fighter or a Yak 9, maybe even the MiG-3, who knows. But the Germans didn't stand a chance. And then, of course, you got the Bf-109, Me-109. There were different models, D, E, F, G, all sorts of models. So this one appears to be a bit of a replica. I can't tell that it's the real deal. Yeah, in fact, I can almost tell you right away that it is just a mock-up on the engine, the way things are laid out. I just don't see this thing being the real thing. Nose section of a Ju-88. This is the junker bomber. Return to junk. As the Soviets were in the air. Hawker Hurricane. Now this was a Land-Lease aircraft, so they would of course be repainted with Soviet stars. Quite popular with the crew. P-39 was really popular. I'm going to show you guys this fighter. So there was a movie that came out that is about a famous Soviet pilot. His name is if I can pronounce it correctly, Didiktayev. And he had a score list. Really great movie if you get a chance to check it out. I believe it's even free on YouTube. But this is the plane that he flew. It was not popular with Americans, but boy, when it came over here to Russia, oh, the Soviet pilots loved this aircraft. It became the perfect ground attack. They would use it for low-level strafing attacks, and he was just a really, really, really great fighter all around for the pilots. And they loved the idea of being able to crawl in and out of it like it's a car. So you notice the door where it's located, the engine is behind the pilots. Pretty much all the armor was right in front, and tricycle landing gear, so quite simple and quite easy for you to be able to land this thing. Very popular. All right, guys. If you look at this aircraft, you're going to immediately think it's a DC-3, and it really is. It basically was a Land-Lease aircraft and given to the Soviet Union. And how do you take a transport aircraft and turn it into a bomber? Well, you throw some slats underneath the wings, kind of in this central area, rack some bombs in there. Find me a DC-3 with a door in front underneath the cockpit. I doubt you'll ever see that on the DC-3, but I'll try to zoom in for you guys so you can see what I'm talking about. Look at that. I've never seen that on the DC-3. You'll also see something else that you'll never find on the DC-3, but you'll find on the L2. And that is the top gunner. So this thing could be a troop carrier, a bomber, and reconnaissance of all sorts. I mean, this just did everything. So very, very popular. This is the Li-2, which is a DC-3 hand-me-down, or part of the Land-Lease program. An incredible aircraft with lots of history. Still flown to this day by many countries. If you get a chance to go to Manila, you'll also see there is a Li-2 there as well. But you'll notice that the engines have a different type of cowling, that they could be open or closed. And that was to prevent, I'm guessing, debris from crawling in and out, as well as probably keeping the engine protected from other elements such as winter. So, in this particular variant, the pilot, I'm guessing, could crawl in through the other side door that you won't see on a DC-3, or it can also enter through the typical, which is your standard DC-3 entrance, or a way to get in, right there. So very, very impressive aircraft. Twin engine, just a twin engine beauty. Big beauty.